Hello and welcome everyone to Non-Routine. I am your host, Mark. Here at Non-Routine, I like to tell stories or give accounts, whether my accounts, personal accounts, or accounts from other people. Non-Routine deals with police calls. So sometimes, police officers make calls to locations or for calls of service for things they can't explain. Um, Usually, a routine call is where an officer has to go out and take some type of disturbance, the dog's barking too loud, a car accident. Unfortunately, sometimes family violence calls, disturbances between neighbors, those kind of things, robberies. But those are all titled routine calls because as officers, we make those calls and we have to handle them, right? Here at non-routine, I want to tell the accounts of calls you can't explain, whether it be strange noises, um, a shadow, somebody saw a shadow in the night, saw some type of smoke or smell that they can't explain, whether it be spooky, scary, paranormal, or just unexplained. Uh, as a 20-year veteran of the police department here in South Texas, I have been to several calls, I have thousands of calls under my belt where, again, they're just routine calls to uh, you know, accidents and those kind of things. But I have had several non-routine calls where people call in a strange noise, a shadow figure, something, something to whether just no explanation to it, whether you believe in it or not. But unfortunately, law enforcement has to make that call. Um, I did work 17 years on the night shift, which we call dog watch. So I'll be referencing that. I'll be using that word dog watch a lot. Um, Usually those shifts are about 10 o'clock afterwards till about 6 in the morning. So in the middle of the night, while most people are sleeping, there are people out still who work night shifts, graveyard shift, or those kind of things. But in law enforcement or here in South Texas, we use the word dog watch. I did work dog watch for 17 years. I did work on the south side of San Antonio for pretty much 15, 16 years of that 17 year before promoting. Um, most of my time was down here on the south side of San Antonio. If you know anything about South San Antonio, you know the river, the San Antonio River runs right through the middle of the south side. Most of the missions in San Antonio are along the river and on the south side of San Antonio, from the Alamo to the Mission San Juan, Mission San Jose, Mission Espada. Um, there's five total missions along the river. Um, so this, so that being said, San Antonio, south side of San Antonio is probably the oldest part of San Antonio. Um, that being the Native Americans were here, and then before it was settled by the founders of the missions. Again, uh, in no way do I want to come across as a paranormal researcher. Um, I mean, that stuff does fascinate me, but to say that I am a professional or I've never been on a ghost hunt. I mean, I like those kind of things. Here in San Antonio, you also have several urban legends all the way across to. I mean, I guess anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world, there's urban legends, right? From across the seas, from what Dracula, whether you believe he was a real person or he had real superpowers, to here in San Antonio, we have the ghost tracks. If you've never heard about that one, there's a railroad track that's down here off of Shane Road on the south side. You're supposed to be able to park your car, put it in neutral, and before you do that, you pour some baby powder on the trunk or the bumper of your car. And when your car is in neutral, the ghost children push you over to safety. The urban legend is that back in the 20s, or I don't know when, uh, the there was a school bus full of kids that got stuck on the tracks, and the kids got killed when the train came and hit the bus that was stuck on the tracks. So now the kids will push any stalled vehicle to safety. And what's really cool is that there's several streets within the neighborhood right near the railroad tracks that have the supposed names of these children, from Shane Road to Richie Otis. I think there's Bobby Sue. There's two or three other streets with children's names, but these are supposedly the names of the children that were involved in that accident. Um, Again, uh, this whole podcast, it was an idea that I came up with, and I kind of shared with other officers. Like, hey, have you ever been in any type of unexplained calls? Um, and it's weird, or I don't say weird, but strange to hear people tell me, yeah, man, I was on this call with so and so, with Roger, with Jennifer, so and so, and man, this happened, and we were over here, and I just thought it was kind of cool to kind of put these stories together, um, and be able to share them. Whether you want to share them with me, or if you want to, I mean, well, if you want to share them with me, and I'll tell them for you, or however you want to do this, so we can videotape it together and figure it out. But my first story I want to tell you is a story I had. I believe I want to say it was probably about 5 6 years ago. Again, I used to work the night shift. I think at this time I had just, or maybe I had a couple years already on what we call the power shift from 5 in the afternoon to 3 in the morning. So you still worked a lot, primarily in the dark, right? So I did work patrol. At that time, my partner uh, was a female officer. Her name was Daphne, and we worked together mostly, pretty much all week, because we had the same type of relief days, the RDs. Um, but we were patrolling that night. Um, so we get a call for a possible burglar, someone in the house, and we show up to this house, and it's not a dirt road, but it's a little, even though it's in the city, it was kind of a rural um, street. There's no sidewalks. Kind of the street just kind of drops down. But anyway, so we show up to this house, and we notice that it's a pretty big property. There's a house in the front, and it's burnt down. It's burnt down. We walk around the side to where there's a big opening, big gate. So we walk into the gate, and we notice there's a travel trailer, like a RV trailer, like a gooseneck. And there's a guy out there standing, a Hispanic male. He talks to us in English, but he's cutting some wood. He's working. It's already late. It has to be like 10:30, 11. But we talked to him, introduced ourselves. We're in full uniform. Showed up in police cars. Introduced ourselves. He says, "Yeah, I called." Um, he says, "I called because I'm living in this trailer. I've been hired to fix the front house, the burnt down house." And he's like, we're saying, okay. And he goes, in the back, you can notice there's another back house. He goes, that's where the owner of that property lives. Uh, she lives there. She hasn't been home for several weeks. She's been in, I don't know if he says Dallas or Fort Worth, but she's visiting family. But while she's been gone, I've been fixing the house. I've been tending to the animals. There's several horses. There's chickens. There's pigs. Again, this is in the city, but it's a big property. So and it's in a rural part of the city, even though it is within the city, right? So he goes, yeah, there's somebody in the house. He goes, because the lights are on. He goes, the lights haven't been on in several weeks. So are they? Oh, okay, that's weird. Did the lady come home? He's like, no, I called her. She's still, again, in Dallas Fort Worth, so nobody should be here. And the lights are on. So we take a look, and you can see the light shining uh, through the windows and stuff like that. I was like, all right, cool. And he goes, just be careful, because I think it's haunted. And right then, both Daphne and I stop, and we look back. We're like, what do you mean it's haunted? He's like, yeah, it's haunted. He goes, what? He goes, yeah, it's. He goes, the lights have been turning on. People, stuff been moving. You can hear noises. He goes, what's weird is the animals don't want to eat or come near the house anymore. They like go away, or they'll stay in the back of the property. Again, it's a big property, right? And I was like, that's weird. So I do kind of get excited about these kind of things. It's intriguing, and you want to figure out uh, what's going on. So I tell Daphne, at this point, she's like, oh, she's already shaking her head. She's like, no, no. I go, well, we have to make sure there's nobody in the house. You know, that being said, we're like, oh, okay. She understands that even though it's spooky and it's scary, we still have to do our job. So the guy goes, go in. You have to go in through the back of the house. So it's a dark house. There's not very much light. So we walk around the house and we go into the back door. Let me just paint this house to you. That you walk in through the back door and it leads into a kitchen. This isn't a very big house. Uh, it's maybe two rooms. So you walk in through the back and it's a kitchen. Um, the kitchen is it's a big open area. It's a kitchen, and then right in front of the kitchen, you can kind of tell where there's no wall, but excuse me, you can tell that that's the living room space. Um, and to the left of the kitchen, you can tell there's another room, but they're using a blanket, kind of a curtain as a door. The light's on. You can see the light coming underneath the blanket from the bedroom, and you can see a little bit of light from from the living room area. Something was on. So being tactically sound, we enter the back, kind of coming at Sewell, meaning you have your gun here because in case somebody's here, somebody's inside the house, you can give them commands. We go in there, you can see all the way to the right, which is leading you, or I won't say to the right, but straight through to the living room area. So we kind of check that, and I go, hey, let's check the back room. So she's like, okay, go. So we go through and we open the curtain, and as soon as you open the curtain, you get that real pungent sulfur smell, rotten egg smell, and it hits you hard, um, to where I kind of like, I don't say step back, but kind of rock back, and I looked at her, and she's already shaking her head. She's like, no, no, no. So we walk in, and as you walk in, and it's just one big room. There's a bed, and to the right, um, it looked like an altar, but there was candles lit. I don't remember if there was a saint or what, or Santa Muerte or what, but there was candles lit, and that smell was just so strong, and it was just weird. Like these were freshly lit candles. Um, so we clear it, make sure there's nobody's in there. We check underneath the bed. We checked in that one little closet. Again, it was a closet that they used a blanket as a kind of a wall. Nobody's in there. So we cleared this house. I mean, not a very big house. It's very, very small. Checked the restroom, everything. I walked back out, and I walk back out and tell the guys like, "Hey, there's nobody in there." Um, and he's like, "Well, thank you for checking. It's just I just found it weird. Um, I'm sorry if that noise was my dog. He wants some attention." Um, so we walk out, and I tell the guy, "Hey, there's nobody there." And he was like, again, he's like, "Thank you for checking." Um, he was like, "What was weird was a couple of days ago. I was out here cutting, and I hear somebody say, 'Hey, hey,' and he goes, I looked around and there's nobody there." And he goes, and then it got louder. It was like right next to my ear. Hey, hey. And he goes, finally, he goes, I got upset because like the third or fourth time, he goes, I answered back, what do you want? And he's like, I'm looking around. He goes, and then I had a burning sensation down my back. He goes, I didn't know what it was. It just kind of a burning. He just felt like burning. He goes, and then I looked in the mirror. I went inside the trailer and I looked in the mirror and I had 3 scratches down my back. Uh, and we're like, what? I was like, no way, dude. And he lifts his shirt, and sure enough, there's 3 scratches down I don't say the middle of his back, kind of like right underneath his right shoulder blade, all the way down, maybe about 3-4 inches long. And Daphne sees this, and she's like, no, we gotta go, we gotta go. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Um, who am I supposed to call if I hear something from attacked? Or I was like, buddy, I don't know. You need a priest or something, but there's not very much we can do. And he's like, again, and it was funny thing. Daphne goes, I don't know, call Ghostbusters. As she's walking away, she's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. So that was one of those crazy stories that I remember being out there in in the field, answering some of these unexplainable calls. So um, that's today's episode. Just want to say thank you guys for listening. Again, excuse me. This is my very first episode. I'm still trying to figure out where to look at the camera, where to talk into the mic. Kind of try to tell my dog to go away, but I appreciate it, and hopefully you enjoy it, and maybe we could talk about this and go on for the next episode. Thanks.